The message came on a Tuesday. Not a hello, not a greeting, a warning. Captain Tae-ho Kim stood in the control room of Korea's Space Defense Station, watching the large screen as the alien words were translated. His hands gripped the back of a chair so hard his knuckles turned white. "Play it again," he ordered. The message filled the room once more. Asterisk people of Earth. We are the Moktai. Your expansion ends now. Prepare for removal asterisk. Tae-ho looked at the faces around him. Fear, confusion, disbelief. The world had dreamed of first contact for centuries. Nobody had expected it to be a threat. "How long until they reach us?" he asked. Officer Ju Mei Park looked up from her screen. Her dark eyes were steady, but Tae-ho could see tension in her shoulders. 6 days, sir. Their ships have already passed Jupiter. And our defenses. Ju Mei shook her head. The moon-based laser cannons might slow them down. But these ships, they're unlike anything we've ever seen. On the screen, satellite images showed the alien fleet. 23 massive ships, each one bigger than the largest Earth vessel. But they didn't look like machines. They looked alive. "Send me everything we have on these ships," Tae-ho said. "I want to know what we're facing." In her small office, Ju Mei studied the alien vessels. The more she looked, the more certain she became. These weren't just ships. They were living things. The outer shells weren't metal, but something like hardened skin. The engines weren't engines at all, but organs that somehow moved the creatures through space, and inside each one. "Computer, enhance section 12B, she said. The image zoomed in on a transparent part of the largest ship. Inside were thousands of shapes. Moving, waiting. Ju Mei's breath caught. She picked up her phone. "Captain Kim, I found something. You need to see this now." Tae-ho stood in the cramped office, staring at the screen. "Are those living weapons?" Ju Mei finished. "Each one about the size of a small tank. I count at least 3,000 in the main ship alone." The creatures had 8 legs, bodies covered in armor-like plates, and heads that seemed to be mostly mouth. Multiple rows of teeth gleamed even in the grainy images. "The Moktai aren't just coming to fight us," Ju Mei said quietly. "They're bringing an army bred for war." Tae-ho's phone rang. "The president's office." He answered, listened, then hung up. "They've called an emergency meeting of the United Nations Space Council," he told Ju Mei. "We leave for New York in an hour." The council room buzzed with frightened voices. Leaders from every space-capable nation had gathered. On screens around the room, the alien message played in different languages. Dr. Dae Jun Lee, head of the Korean Xenobiology Department, stood at the podium. He was a small man with round glasses that kept sliding down his nose. "The Moktai ships are partially biological," he explained, "and the creatures inside appear to be genetically engineered war beasts. Their teeth can likely cut through our strongest metals. Their bodies are built to survive in space without protection, and based on brain scans, they may share a hive mind." "How do we fight such things?" asked the American representative. Before Dr. Lee could answer, the lights flickered. A new message appeared on every screen. "Asterisk, your Mars colony has been removed. Your outer defenses have failed. We are coming asterisk." Silence fell over the room. Then the Chinese representative stood. "We have lost contact with our Mars research station. All 342 people there." He couldn't finish. Tae-ho felt a cold weight in his stomach. He had friends on Mars. Good people. Scientists, not soldiers. The room erupted in panic. Shouting. Accusations. Fear. Colonel Sun Ho Choi, head of Korea's Military Technology Division, walked slowly to the podium. The room quieted as he raised his hand. "The Moktai have teeth," he said simply. "Sharp ones, but teeth alone don't win wars." He pressed a button, and a new image appeared on the screens. A massive humanoid machine, connected to a human pilot through dozens of neural links. For 15 years, we've been developing the Soul Forge project, a true merging of human and machine. It failed because the connection was too deep, too intimate. Our test pilots couldn't separate themselves from the machines. He paused, looking around the room. What was once our greatest failure may now be our only hope. The Moktai war beasts have instinct and sharp teeth, but they lack what makes us human. Our ability to create, to adapt, to sacrifice. Colonel Choi looked directly at Taiho. We need volunteers. People willing to connect with the machines in ways we once thought too dangerous. The link is permanent. The risks are high. Taiho stood up. I volunteer. Across the room, Jumai also rose to her feet. As do I. One by one, others stood. Soldiers, pilots, engineers. Dr. Dae-jung Lee was the last person to leave Mars. As his escape pod shot away from the red planet, he looked back through the small window. The colony, his home for 5 years, was now just burning ruins. His hand shook as he checked the camera he had strapped to his chest. It still worked. The footage was there. The world needed to see what these aliens could do. The war beasts had come without warning. One moment, the colony sensors showed nothing. The next, hundreds of the creatures poured across the Martian surface. They moved fast, too fast for something so big. Dae-jung closed his eyes, but couldn't shut out the memories. The sound of teeth cutting through the metal walls. The screams. The sight of his friends being torn apart. Only 12 people had made it to escape pods. 12 out of 342. As Earth grew larger in his viewport, Dae-jung knew that what happened on Mars was just the beginning. 3 days later, Taiho and Jumai sat in a small room deep under the Korean DMZ. On the screen before them played Dae-jung's footage. The war beasts were even worse than the satellite images had shown. Each one stood as tall as 2 men. Their 8 legs moved in perfect sync, carrying them across the Martian surface faster than any Earth vehicle. Their bodies were covered in overlapping plates that seemed to absorb laser fire without damage. But it was their heads that made Jumi's skin crawl. No eyes, no nose, just mouth after mouth, ring after ring of teeth that spun like drills when they attacked the colony walls. They cut through 20 inches of reinforced steel in under a minute, Colonel Choi said, pausing the video. No fear, no hesitation. They kept coming even when shot. Some with half their bodies destroyed still tried to attack. How can we fight something like that? Jumai asked. Colonel Choi didn't answer directly. Instead, he pressed a button on the wall. A hidden door slid open. Follow me, he said. It's time you saw Project Soul Forge. The elevator took them deep underground. When the doors opened, Taiho gasped. The chamber before them was enormous. At least 20 stories high and filled with machines. No, not just machines, something more. 12 massive humanoid forms stood in rows, each one about 15 feet tall, made of a metal Taiho didn't recognize. They looked like warriors from an ancient myth, but built from technology beyond anything he had seen before. The Soul Mechs, Colonel Choi said with pride. More than just machines, more than just weapons, they are designed to become part of the pilot, an extension of the human soul. He led them to a smaller room off to the side. Inside was what looked like a medical chair, surrounded by equipment and cables. The neural interface, Choi explained. Once connected, the pilot and the mech become one. The machine learns from the human, their instincts, their emotions, their will to survive. The connection goes both ways. The human gains the strength and abilities of the mech. You said the connection is permanent, Jumai said. What does that mean exactly? A woman in a lab coat stepped forward. I'm Dr. Hae-Nyul Song, lead neuroscientist for the project. The neural pathways created cannot be undone. Your brain will rewire itself. Even when physically separated from the mech, you will feel its presence. You will never be fully human again. Taiho studied the soul mechs through the window. And this is why the project was stopped, because test pilots couldn't handle the change. They fought against it, Dr. Song said. They tried to keep their minds separate from the machine. It drove them mad. We believe the only way forward is complete acceptance. To embrace the merger, not fight it. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Colonel Choi's phone rang. His face darkened as he listened. The Moktai main fleet has entered Earth orbit, he announced. They're landing ships in Asia, Europe, and North America. We're out of time. He looked at Taiho and Jumai. You volunteered. Are you still willing? Jumai thought of the footage from Mars. The teeth, the destruction, the dead. Yes, she said firmly. Taiho nodded. Let's do this. Dr. Song led Jumai to the medical chair while Taiho was taken to another room. The process will hurt, Dr. Song warned as she prepared the neural connectors. Your mind will try to reject it at first. Don't fight it. Let it in. As the first needle pierced the back of Jumai's neck, connecting directly to her spine, she gritted her teeth against the pain. Above them, the Moktai ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The war for humanity's survival had begun. Pain shot through Jumai's body like lightning. Every nerve burned as the neural connectors linked to her spine. She wanted to scream, but her jaw was locked tight, muscles frozen. Don't fight it. Dr. Song's voice seemed to come from far away. Let it in, Jumai. Become one with it. Images flashed through Jumai's mind. Memories. Her childhood home by the sea. Her parents' faces. The day she joined the Space Defense Force. Then, newer memories. The alien message, the war beasts tearing through the Mars colony. Something else pushed into her mind. Not memories. Something. Other. Cold. Mechanical. Foreign. Her first instinct was to push back, to protect herself from this invasion. But Dr. Song's words echoed. Asterisk, don't fight it, asterisk. Jumai took a mental breath and did the opposite. She opened herself, welcomed the strange presence into her mind. The pain changed. It was still there, but different now. Like muscles stretching after too long sitting still. Like lungs filling with air after being underwater. She felt her awareness expand. Suddenly, she could sense things beyond her body. The huge metal form waiting in the hangar, its systems, its strength, its purpose. Jumai opened her eyes. The world looked different. She could see more clearly, colors more vivid. She could hear the heartbeats of people around her. How do you feel? Dr. Song asked. Jumai tried to find the right word. More, she said simply. In another room, Taiho's experience was very different. When the neural link activated, he instinctively fought against it. Years of military training had taught him to resist invasion, to maintain control at all costs. The machine presence in his mind felt like an enemy trying to take over. He built mental walls, used meditation techniques to keep his thoughts separate. Something's wrong, a technician said, looking at the brain scans. He's blocking the connection. Dr. Song rushed in. Captain Kim, you need to stop resisting. The merge won't work if you fight it. Taiho could barely hear her. He was locked in a battle inside his own mind. The machine was powerful, pushing against his defenses, trying to access his memories, his identity. Asterisk, no asterisk, he thought. Asteriski, am Taiho Kim. I will not disappear, asterisk. To his surprise, the machine presence seemed to respond. It didn't push harder. Instead, it waited, as if listening. Cautiously, Taiho lowered one mental wall. He allowed the machine to see one memory, his first day at the military academy. The pride he felt, the determination. The machine presence didn't attack. It observed. And somehow, Taiho sensed approval. Slowly, carefully, he opened more connections. Not surrendering, but negotiating. Not merging completely, but working together. When he finally opened his eyes, Dr. Song was watching him with concern. The readings are strange, she said. You didn't fully merge. The connection is there, but you've maintained separation. Colonel Choi, who had been watching from the doorway, stepped forward. Is the soul mech functional? Tai-ho stood up from the chair. His movements felt different, smoother, more precise. He could feel the giant machine in the hangar, waiting for him. Not as part of himself, but as a partner. Yes, he said. We're ready. Colonel Choi raised an eyebrow at his choice of words. We. 12 volunteers completed the Soul Forge process that day. Each experienced it differently. Some, like Ju Mei, embraced the merger completely. Others, like Tai-ho, found their own balance with the machine. Now they stood in the hangar, looking at the massive soul mechs. The machines no longer seemed like empty shells. They hummed with life, with purpose. It's time, Colonel Choi announced. The Moktai have landed in Seoul. Our regular forces can't hold them back. You are humanity's last hope. Ju Mai approached her soul mech. It was beautiful to her now. 15 feet of gleaming metal shaped like a human but stronger, faster, deadlier. As she touched its leg, panels opened automatically. A way in. She didn't need instructions. She knew exactly what to do, how to climb inside, how to settle into the control chamber that would connect directly to the neural links in her spine. Across the hangar, Tai-ho did the same. His movements were more cautious, each step a conversation between himself and the machine. As the chamber closed around Ju Mai, she felt a rush of power. The soul mech wasn't just armor or a vehicle. It was her now. A new body. A new self. The hangar doors opened, revealing the night sky. Seoul burned in the distance. Dark shapes moved through the city streets. The Moktai war beasts had arrived. Squad, move out. Tai-ho's voice came through the communication system. Let's show these aliens what humans can do. 12 soul mechs stepped out into the night, ready for battle. Seoul was burning. From the hills outside the city, the 12 soul mechs could see the destruction. 3 Moktai ships hung in the sky, dropping more war beasts into the streets below. Regular troops are being pushed back to the Han River. Colonel Choi's voice came through their comms. Their weapons barely slow the beasts down. Ju Mai stood at the front of the group, her soul mech's metal feet sinking slightly into the soil. Through her connection, she could feel the ground beneath her, the vibrations of distant explosions, the weight of her new body. We split into 3 teams, Tai-ho said. His soul mech pointed toward different areas of the city. Team 1 takes the north. Team 2, east. My team will go straight down the middle. Ju Mai was in Tai-ho's team. She felt a strange mix of emotions, fear, excitement, and something new that must have come from the machine part of her, a cold readiness for battle. Remember your training, Tai-ho continued. These things are fast and their teeth can cut through almost anything. Don't let them get close. The soul mechs moved forward, quickly covering ground with long, powerful strides. Each step would have been impossible for a human, but felt natural now. Ju Mai's team reached the edge of the city. The streets were empty of people. They had either fled or died, but they weren't empty of enemies. A group of war beasts turned a corner ahead of them. Up close, they were even more terrifying than in the Mars footage. Each was the size of a small truck, with 8 legs that moved in perfect unison. Their bodies were covered in black plates that reflected the fires around them. Where their heads should be, rings of spinning teeth dripped with something dark. The beasts sensed the soul mechs in charge. Now, Tai-ho shouted. Ju Mai raised her arm, and the soul mech responded instantly. A panel opened on her forearm, revealing the built-in plasma cannon. She didn't need to aim consciously. The targeting system was linked directly to her mind. 4 soul mechs fired at once. Beams of blue energy hit the leading war beasts. Where regular weapons had failed, the advanced plasma cut through the alien armor. 2 beasts fell, their legs twitching, but the others kept coming. They don't feel pain, Ju Mai realized aloud. They'll fight until they're completely destroyed. A beast leaped at her, clearing 30 feet in a single bound. She reacted with speed that would have been impossible in her human body. The soul mech's fist swung up, catching the beast in midair. Metal met alien flesh with a terrible sound. The beast's teeth spun frantically, trying to bite through her arm. Sparks flew as they scraped against the soul mech's armor. Ju-Mi felt pressure, then pain. The teeth were slowly cutting into her, into the mech's arm. But she felt it as her own pain. With her other hand, she grabbed the beast's body and pulled. The creature tore in half, its legs still kicking as it died. All around her, the other soul mechs fought. Some used built-in weapons, plasma cannons, pulse rifles, laser blades. Others fought hand-to-hand, using their immense strength. Taiho's fighting style was unique. Where the others moved with machine precision, he moved like a dancer. Each step was placed perfectly, each strike timed exactly. He and his mech weren't fully merged, but their partnership created something unexpected. A fighting style the war beasts couldn't predict. "There are too many," called out one pilot, a woman named Du Yun. Her soul mech was surrounded by 6 beasts, all trying to find a weak spot in her armor. Ju-Mi rushed to help, but she was too far away. She watched in horror as one beast climbed up Du Yun's back, its teeth finding the gap between helmet and body. Du Yun screamed. Then silence. The soul mech collapsed, its light going dark. Ju-Mi felt it, not just the loss of a teammate, but something deeper. Through the neural network linking all the soul mechs, she felt Du Yun's death as a sudden emptiness. The phantom pain. "Fall back," Taiho ordered. "We need to regroup." The surviving soul mechs formed a circle, backs together, facing outward as hundreds of war beasts surrounded them. "There's something strange about how they move," Ju-Mi said. "They're coordinated, like they share one mind." Taiho's soul mech turned slightly toward her. "Can you sense it?" "Through our connection." Ju-Mi closed her eyes, letting her awareness expand beyond her soul mech. The neural interface was picking up something, faint signals passing between the war beasts. "Yes," she said, "they're communicating. And I think I can predict what they'll do next." As the war beasts prepared to attack again, Ju-Mi opened her eyes. For the first time since the invasion began, she felt hope. "They're going to attack from 3 sides," Ju-Mi said, her eyes still closed as she focused on the faint signals between the war beasts. "The largest group will come from the east, trying to push us toward the river." Taiho didn't question her. "Team 2, face east. Team 3, north. My team, south. Prepare for heavy attack." The war beasts moved exactly as Ju-Mi had predicted. They charged in 3 waves, trying to break the soul mech's defensive circle. This time, the human pilots were ready. As the beasts rushed forward, the soul mechs met them with coordinated fire. Plasma beams cut through the alien bodies. Metal fists crushed their armored shells. "It's working," shouted one of the pilots. But the war beasts kept coming. For every one they destroyed, 2 more appeared. They were learning too, changing their patterns, testing the soul mechs for weaknesses. A beast leaped onto Taiho's back, its teeth grinding against his neck joint. He reached back, grabbed it, and threw it into 3 others that were charging him. "We can't keep this up forever," he said. "We need a new plan." Ju-Mi had focused harder, pushing her mind deeper into the connection with her soul mech. She could feel the machine helping her, amplifying her thoughts, extending her awareness. The signals between the war beasts became clearer. They weren't just communicating, they were receiving orders from somewhere above. "The ships," she said suddenly. "The war beasts are controlled from the ships. If we can destroy even one ship, it might confuse the beasts below it." Taiho looked up at the 3 Moktai vessels hanging over the city. They were at least a mile high, well out of reach. "How do we get up there?" he asked. Ju-Mi felt something unlocking in her soul mech systems, knowledge that had been there all along, waiting for her to be ready. "The soul mechs can fly," she said. "Not for long, but enough to reach a ship." "What? How do you know that?" "I just know." She couldn't explain it better. Since the merging, information sometimes appeared in her mind, as if the soul mech itself was teaching her. She opened a panel on her wrist console and pressed a sequence of buttons. On her back, hidden jets began to glow. "Follow my lead," she told the others. Ju-Mai bent her knees, then pushed upward with all her strength. The jets fired, lifting her soul mech off the ground. She rose quickly, straight toward the closest Moktai ship. After a moment of surprise, Taiho followed. Then the others. 7 soul mechs soared above the burning city, leaving the war beasts below. The alien ship grew larger as they approached. Its surface wasn't metal, but something organic, like the shell of some enormous sea creature. It pulsed slightly, as if breathing. "Look for a way in," Taiho ordered. As they circled the ship, Ju-Mai saw an opening, a dark hole that might be used to launch the war beasts. She pointed, and the group moved toward it. The hole was big enough for them to enter one at a time. Inside was a long tunnel, its walls wet and slightly moving. "This isn't a ship," one pilot said, his voice filled with disgust. "It's alive." They moved deeper into the tunnel, their soul mech's lights showing the strange organic interior. It was like being inside a giant living thing. The air was thick and warm. After several minutes, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Hundreds of war beasts hung from the ceiling in pods, not yet awakened. Below them was a pool of thick liquid where new beasts were being formed. "This is a factory," Taiho said quietly. "They're growing these things inside the ship." At the center of the chamber stood something different. Not a war beast, but a thin, frail-looking creature. It had 4 arms and a large head with multiple eyes. It stood before a glowing console, its hands moving quickly over controls. "That must be one of the real Moktai," Ju-Mai said. The alien looked up suddenly, seeing them. Its eyes widened in what could only be fear. It pressed something on the console, and an alarm sounded throughout the ship. The war beast pods began to open. Hundreds of the creatures dropped to the floor, their teeth already spinning. "Destroy the console," Taiho shouted. "It's controlling everything." Ju-Mai raised her arm, aiming her plasma cannon at the console. But before she could fire, something strange happened. The frail Moktai alien stared directly at her, and she felt a pressure in her mind, like something trying to break through the neural connection she shared with her soul mech. "They're trying to hack our systems," she warned the others. "Protect your mind." The war beasts surged forward as the real battle began, not just for the city, but for their very souls. Ju-Mai felt the Moktai alien pushing into her thoughts. It was like cold fingers touching her brain. She fought back, using mental walls like Taiho had during the merging process. Around her, war beasts attacked the soul mechs. The chamber filled with the sounds of battle, plasma fire, metal against alien flesh, the terrible spinning of countless teeth. "The console," Taiho shouted again, fighting his way toward the center of the room. 2 beasts jumped on him, but he grabbed one in each hand and smashed them together. Ju-Mai tried to move forward, but her body wouldn't respond. The Moktai's mental attack was freezing her soul mech in place. Through their shared neural link, she could feel the other pilots struggling too. "It's trying to take control of our mechs," she warned. The skinny alien's eyes burned with concentration. It made a strange sound, like singing but harsh and metallic. More war beasts poured into the chamber, surrounding the soul mechs. Ju-Mai closed her eyes. She had to break free of the mental grip. But how? Then she understood. The Moktai was attacking the machine part of their connection. It saw the soul mechs as technology that could be hacked, controlled. But the soul mechs weren't just machines. They were merged with humans now. They had something no war beast had: a soul. Ju-Mai stopped fighting with her mind and instead reached for her heart. She thought of her family who died on Mars. She remembered her childhood home, the smell of her mother's cooking, the sound of her father's laugh. She let these very human memories flow through the neural link. The pressure in her mind weakened. The cold fingers withdrew slightly. It doesn't understand emotion. She called to the others. Think of who you are. What makes you human? Tai-ho understood immediately. He thought of his first day at the military academy. The pride he felt. His dream of protecting his people. One by one, the other pilots did the same. Each found their own deeply personal memories and pushed them through the neural link. The Moktai alien made a shrieking sound. It backed away from the console, its 4 hands pressed against its large head as if in pain. Ju-mei felt her soul mech responding again. She charged forward, past the confused war beasts, straight toward the console. With one powerful blow, she smashed the glowing controls. Sparks flew. The lights in the chamber flickered. All at once, the war beasts stopped moving. They stood perfectly still, like statues, their teeth no longer spinning. "We did it," Tai-ho said in disbelief. The skinny alien cowered against the wall, watching them with its multiple eyes. It was shaking with fear. "What do we do with that thing?" asked one of the pilots. Before anyone could answer, a rumble shook the ship. The floor trembled beneath them. The ship is dying, Ju-mei realized. Without the control system, it can't maintain itself. "We need to get out of here," Tai-ho ordered. "Back the way we came." As they ran through the organic tunnels, the ship shuddered around them. Walls that had seemed solid were now collapsing. The air grew thick and hard to breathe. They reached the opening where they had entered. Outside, they could see the ship was losing altitude, slowly sinking toward the city below. "Jump," Tai-ho shouted. One by one, the soul mechs leaped from the opening. Their jets fired, slowing their descent as the massive ship crashed into the Han River behind them. The explosion sent waves of water 30 feet high. The ship's organic body broke apart, pieces of it scattering across the water and riverbanks. Ju-mei landed on a rooftop and turned to watch. All across the city, war beasts were collapsing. Without the ship to guide them, they simply shut down. "The other ships," Tai-ho said, pointing up. The 2 remaining Moktai vessels were moving, turning away from Seoul, rising higher into the sky. "They're retreating," Ju-mei said. She couldn't believe it. "They're afraid of us now." Through the neural link, she could feel the other pilots' emotions. Relief, pride, exhaustion. They had lost friends today, but they had won their first battle. One of the pilots pointed to something in the wreckage of the crashed ship. Among the debris on the riverbank, the skinny Moktai alien was crawling away, injured but alive. "Should we catch it?" someone asked. Tai-ho's soul mech stepped forward. "Yes, I think we need to have a talk with our visitor." As they moved toward the alien, Ju-mei felt something strange through her connection with the soul mech, a new understanding forming. The war wasn't over. In fact, it had just begun. But humanity had found its answer to the Moktai's teeth. We had souls. The Moktai alien sat in a clear cell beneath the Soul Forge facility. Its 4 thin arms were wrapped around its body as if it were cold. Its large head hung low, multiple eyes blinking slowly. On the other side of the clear wall stood Tai-ho, Ju-mei, Colonel Choi, and Dr. Song. They had removed themselves from their soul mechs for the first time since the merging. It felt strange to be back in human bodies, like wearing clothes that had shrunk in the wash. "Can it understand us?" Colonel Choi asked. Dr. Song nodded. "We think so. Their ships have been monitoring Earth broadcasts for years. They likely know many human languages." Tai-ho stepped closer to the wall. "Why did you attack us?" he asked the alien. For a long moment, the Moktai didn't respond. Then it lifted its head. When it spoke, the voice was high and musical, with an odd clicking between words. "You, dangerous," it said in broken English. "All planets, watch Earth. C, violence. C, change too fast. We've never attacked anyone outside our world, Jumai said. The alien's eyes blinked in sequence, like ripples on water. Not yet, but will. Always changing. Always fighting. Make weapons from everything. Even yourselves. It pointed a long finger at Jumai. You change self to fight. Dangerous. Colonel Choi frowned. That's why you came. Because you think we might be dangerous someday. Many worlds. Peaceful. The alien continued. Many species. No place in galaxy. But humans, never satisfied. Always want more. Tai-Ho crossed his arms. So you decided to wipe us out before we could become a threat. Yes, the alien showed no shame in this admission. Council of Worlds voted. Earth too dangerous. Moktai sent to remove problem. Council of Worlds. Jumai asked. There are more alien civilizations. Many. Hundreds. All agree. Humans dangerous. Dr. Song stepped forward. What about the war beasts? Are they from your world too? The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. No, we make them. For many generations, we breed them. Perfect hunters. Perfect soldiers. But they have no minds of their own, Tai-Ho said. They just follow orders. Yes, safe that way. No questions. No rebellion. Jumai felt a chill. You're afraid of independent thought. The alien's eyes fixed on her. Thought leads to change. Change leads to danger. Colonel Choi had heard enough. He turned to the others. We need to decide what to do next. The 2 remaining ships have pulled back, but they're still in orbit. This isn't over. They moved to a conference room where Dr. Dae-Jung Lee and a team of scientists waited. On screens around the room were images of the crashed Moktai ship and the war beasts that had been collected for study. The ship is definitely biological, Dr. Lee explained. Grown, not built. The same with the war beasts. They're all connected through a complex neural network controlled from the ship's central chamber. Can we use this information against the other ships? Colonel Choi asked. Dr. Lee nodded. Possibly. Now that we know how they communicate, we might be able to disrupt their signals or even send false commands. Tai-Ho looked thoughtful. The alien mentioned a council of worlds. If we can find a way to communicate with them directly, maybe we can explain that we're not the threat they think we are. Would they believe us? Jumai asked. They've already decided we're too dangerous to live. Colonel Choi pointed to a map showing the positions of the 2 remaining Moktai ships. They're regrouping. I think they're preparing for another attack. We need to strike first. How? Dr. Song asked. The Soul Mechs can only fly for short distances. We can't reach those ships in orbit. A scientist stepped forward with a tablet. Actually, we might have a solution. He showed them designs for what looked like a modified space shuttle. We've been working on this since the first alien message arrived. It's designed to carry the Soul Mechs into orbit. A transport ship, Tai-Ho said, studying the design. Exactly. It can get you close enough to board their vessels, just like you did with the first one. Colonel Choi turned to Tai-Ho and Jumai. What do you think? Are you ready to take this fight off-world? Jumai felt a mix of fear and determination. Through her neural link, she could sense her soul mech waiting for her, ready to merge again. The Moktai came here to exterminate us because they fear what we might become, she said. I say we show them exactly what humans are capable of. Tai-Ho nodded. We go up, we board their ships, we end this. Colonel Choi looked at the remaining Soul Mech pilots. This will be extremely dangerous. The Moktai know we can destroy their ships now. They'll be ready for us. They have teeth, one pilot said. We have souls. I know which one I'd bet on. The transport ship shook as it left Earth's atmosphere. Inside its cargo hold, 7 Soul Mechs stood in silent rows, connected to power stations. Though the pilots weren't physically inside them yet, they could feel their other bodies through the neural link. Zhu Mai looked out the small window at the blue planet below. It seemed so peaceful from up here, so beautiful. Hard to believe parts of it were burning. 5 minutes to drop point. The pilot announced over the speaker, "Prepare for deployment." Tai-ho checked the small device attached to his belt, a tactical nuclear bomb, powerful enough to destroy an entire Moktai ship. Each Soul Mech pilot carried one. Their orders were clear: board the enemy vessels, plant the bombs at their control centers, then escape before detonation. "I don't like this," Zhu Mai said quietly, "using such destructive weapons." "We don't have a choice," Tai-ho replied. "It's us or them now." Dr. Song approached them. She had insisted on coming along, despite the danger. "The neural link might be affected by being so far from Earth," she warned. "Your connection to the soul mechs could become unstable." "We'll manage," Tai-ho said. A red light began flashing. Time to merge with their soul mechs. Zhu Mai closed her eyes as the neural link activated. The familiar rush of connection washed over her as her consciousness expanded into her other body. But something was different this time. The connection felt deeper, as if the soul mech was becoming more like her, and she more like it. When she opened her eyes, she saw the world through both bodies, her human form strapped into a seat, and her soul mechs standing ready in the cargo hold. The dual awareness should have been confusing, but somehow it felt right. "Connection complete," Dr. Song announced, checking her monitors. "Neuralink at 120% stability. That's unexpected." The transport ship slowed. Through the windows, they could see one of the Moktai vessels. It was massive, at least a mile long, its organic surface pulsing slightly in the sunlight. "Target in range," the pilot called. Cargo doors opening in 3, 2, 1. The floor of the hold opened to the emptiness of space. The soul mechs, designed to function in vacuum, stepped forward one by one and jumped. Zhu Mai felt the strange sensation of falling without air resistance. Her soul mech's built-in thrusters guided her toward the alien ship. The others closed behind. As they approached, something unexpected happened. Hundreds of objects shot out from the Moktai vessel, war beasts, but different from those they had fought on Earth. These had additional limbs that seemed to work like wings, allowing them to move through space. Space beasts. Tai-ho warned. They were ready for us. The war beasts swarmed toward them, teeth spinning even in the vacuum. Zhu Mai fired her plasma cannon, destroying 3 with one shot. Around her, the other soul mechs did the same, creating a light show of explosions. But there were too many. For every beast they destroyed, 5 more took its place. "We need to reach the ship," Tai-ho called, fighting his way forward. A beast latched onto Zhu Mai's leg, its teeth grinding against her armor. She smashed it with her fist, but 2 more grabbed her arms. Through the neural link, she felt the pain as they began to cut through. Then something strange happened. As she fought, Zhu Mai felt her awareness expanding again. Not just into the soul mech, but beyond it. She could sense the war beasts' simple minds, the signals controlling them. And not just that, she could sense Tai-ho's soul mech, the others in their team, all connected through the neural network that linked the pilots. "I can feel their control signals," she called to the others. "They're coming from inside the ship, just like before." "Can you block them?" Tai-ho asked, struggling with his own attackers. Zhu Mai closed her eyes, focusing on the signals. "I can try to send a counter-signal. It might confuse them." She pushed her mind through the neural link, using the soul mech's systems to amplify her thoughts. She crafted a simple command. *stop. Return *. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the war beasts released their grip. They stopped attacking and began moving back toward the Moktai ship. "It's working," one of the pilots shouted in disbelief. "Not for long," Zhu Mai warned. "They're fighting my control. We need to move now." The team pushed forward, using the confusion to reach the surface of the alien vessel. They found an opening similar to the one they had used before, a launch bay for the war beasts. As they entered the organic tunnel, Taiho looked at the nuclear device on his belt. "We stick to the plan. Find the control center, plant the bombs, get out." Deep inside the Moktai ship, Ju Mai and Taiho led the team through pulsing organic tunnels. War beasts lined the walls in sleeping pods, their teeth still. "The control center should be ahead," Taiho said, checking a map they had made from the first ship. Ju Mai moved with purpose, her soul mech stepping carefully. "I need you to trust me," she told the others. "What I'm about to try might seem strange." They entered a vast chamber similar to the one from the first ship. In the center stood 5 Moktai aliens, their thin bodies and large heads bent over glowing consoles. They looked up in alarm as the soul mechs entered. "Now," Taiho ordered, raising his weapon. "Wait." Ju Mai stepped forward, her soul mech's hands raised to show peace. "I'm not going to hurt you." The Moktai backed away in fear. One pressed buttons frantically, likely calling for war beasts. "You don't need your teeth," Ju Mai said to them, "and we don't need our bombs." She reached down to her soul mech's belt and removed the nuclear device. Slowly, she placed it on the floor and stepped away from it. "What are you doing?" one of the pilots asked in alarm. "Something better than destruction," Ju Mai replied. Then she closed her eyes. Through the neural link, she pushed her mind outward. Not with force, but with openness. She wasn't trying to control the Moktai, as she had the war beasts. She was trying to connect with them. "I want to show you who we really are," she said to the frightened aliens. With her soul mech amplifying her thoughts, Ju Mai sent her memories. Not just words or images, but feelings. She showed them a child's joy at seeing the ocean for the first time. She showed them the pain of losing loved ones on Mars. She showed them courage, fear, hope, regret, the full range of human emotion. She showed them what it meant to be human, not just the violence the Moktai feared, but the beauty they had never seen. Most of all, she showed them connection, how humans grew by sharing with each other, how every person was both an individual and part of something larger. The Moktai stood frozen, their large eyes wide. They were feeling human emotions for the first time. They're telepathic. Dr. Song's voice came through the comm. "That's how they control the war beasts. You're using that ability to share your experiences with them." Ju Mai kept the connection open. "Now you," she said to Taiho. "Show them who you are." Taiho hesitated, then closed his eyes. He joined his memories to hers, his childhood dreams, his pride in protecting others, his hope for the future. One by one, the other pilots did the same. A flood of human experience poured into the Moktai minds. The aliens trembled, overwhelmed. One fell to its knees, making a sound like singing. "They're feeling too much," Dr. Song warned. "Their minds aren't designed to handle such emotional complexity." Ju Mai knew she needed to pull back, but before she did, she sent one final message. "We don't want to fight you. We want to understand you, to learn from you, to grow together." She opened her eyes and ended the connection. The Moktai slowly recovered, looking at the humans with new awareness. The tallest one stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice was still musical but stronger now. "Many centuries, we fear change," it said. "Make war beasts, without minds. Make ourselves, without feeling." It touched its chest with all 4 hands. Empty inside. Safe, but empty. Taiho lowered his weapon completely. "You don't have to fear us." "We see now," the Moktai said. "Humans different. You change, but not just for war. You change to grow." It pointed at the soul mechs. "You join with machines, not lose souls. Gain more." The alien turned to its console and pressed several buttons. Throughout the ship, war beast pods began to close. The organic walls pulsed with new light. "We will speak to Council," the Moktai announced. "Tell them, Humans, not what we thought. Not just teeth. Souls, too. Jumi felt relief wash over her. And the attack. It's over. Over. We learn from you now. The Moktai ship began to move, pulling away from Earth. The second ship followed. As the Soul Mech team returned to their transport, Taiho turned to Jumi. You knew this would work. I hoped, she said. What they feared most about us was also our greatest strength, our ability to change, to adapt. We needed to show them that change doesn't have to be feared. Through the transport window, they watched Earth grow larger as they descended. Cities still burned from the attack, but they would rebuild. And now, humanity knew it wasn't alone in the universe. Dr. Song studied her monitors, amazed at the readings from the soul mechs. The neural links are evolving, becoming more complex, more alive. Like us, Jumi said softly. The soul mechs had been created as weapons, but they had become something more. A new way for humanity to grow, to reach beyond its limits. The Moktai war beasts had teeth, sharp, deadly, perfect for destruction. But that perfection was their limitation. They couldn't change, couldn't grow, couldn't question. Humans had souls. Messy, complicated, always changing. And in the end, that made all the difference.